22. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Maureen. Can I have attendance, please?
Trustee Lazikis, Trustee Porter,
There.
Trustee Kimmelhart,
Here.
Trustee Rosati,
Here.
Trustee Cameron, Trustee Shear,
Here.
Mayor Mercurio.
Present.
6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the village board meeting for March 7th, 2022?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second by Marcia. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Get a motion to approve the payment of abstracts for 3/21/22 for voucher numbers 62036 to 62081 for a total of $116,948.70.
So moved.
Moved by Paul, second by Tony. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approved. Next, it is my pleasure to ask Linda Ulrich Hagner to come up, please. You can sing a little number for everybody. Thank you. Constituents here. It's my pleasure to present you with this. Linda has served on the Historic Preservation Commission, and in recognition of civic and meritorious service rendered to the village of East Aurora, New York, while serving in the capacity of member of the HBC, dated this day, 7th of February, 2022. A certificate of appreciation. Thank you so much for everything you've done. I just want people to realize the village, our wonderful, charming village, doesn't just happen by accident. It's people like Linda who spend a lot of their own personal time and get really invested in something that you're passionate about, like the HBC, and help, make the decisions that keep the village as charming as it is. So thank you so much.
Well, I wouldn't want to live anyplace else.
I love it. I could ask Tony Rosati to come down, please. See you, bud. This is Tony's last meeting as the village trustee. Verbatim proclamation presented to Tony Rosati, whereas Anthony Rosati was elected as a trustee in September of 2020, began his service on the village board on September 21st, 2020. And whereas Tony served one term as a trustee spanning a period of 2 years, and whereas Tony
Thank you, Ernie. It's always been a pleasure to come see where I can help out. So, that's some good questions.
So Tony, how many hours sleep do you need? Because night, on behalf of either the village or the town, you've been just involved in everything. And it's like, does he have a personal life? So you must, I don't know, between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. But anyway, I know I can always count on you.
He's only been here a couple of years or whatever. He couldn't believe it because
8 or 10.
you've been around.
was you. That was you, you made the phone call when others, myself, had given up on this idea of having a. So thank you very much, Paul, and you will be missed on the board. And I've enjoyed getting to know you. So I'll come over and visit. So thank you.
But people in the community. And so you're always looking at both situation, and I respect you for that.
Yeah, I think, Paul, you're certainly the one I've talked to on the phone most. In our time on the board, I think we've had some wonderfully in-depth conversations. I appreciate it. I'll really miss that.
Paul, you always call the office when you hear something online that we know is not always the case or true, just to verify and to make sure that we have that information, we know what's happening, and to be able to give you all the detail you need to make the best decision you can. Thank you.
And Paul, I'm going to echo all those comments. That we've had a lot of really great conversations, many of them, and many going on for a period of time while I was in the office. And it was so helpful to me to for you to let me know what you needed to know. And you were always asked the best questions. And I am really going to miss you calling and say, hey, Kathy, what about this? Or what about that? And that would lead to several other questions and talk about other topics. And we had just some of the very most wonderful conversations. And I am going to miss that.
Paul, would you like to add anything?
I just really enjoyed working with all of you, and which is probably a big reason why I would call all of you so often. I just really wanted to see, like, if what I was thinking, if others were thinking the same way or what, and I'm really gonna miss being up here because I enjoyed every one of them. So thank you.
Okay, now we have speakers and communications. This is the first of two opportunities to speak on any topic that you'd like. Just a heads up, during the public hearing, the public will be allowed to speak on the 0 Walnut Street 363 Prospect Ave. So if you want to talk about that the time to do that will be in a minute, as well as the budget. We'll have a public hearing on the budget in a minute as well, and the public will be allowed to speak then. So if there's anything else you'd like to speak about, please raise your hand, and when called on, come up and identify yourself and let us know what your topic is. All right. Moving on to public hearings. Can I get a motion? Oh, no. This is already open. So further comment on our open public hearing on the preliminary plat application for 0 Walnut Street / 363 Prospect Ave from the public. Oh, you know what? Should Pete, do you guys want to let the public speak first? Okay. Anybody from the public want to speak at this point? Bruce?
I have copies of what I'm about to say. Should I give it to everybody? I have a copy for everybody. Yeah, okay.
She'll make sure we all get it.
First off, Bruce Mitchell, I live at 206 Center Street. There's a letter, I'm just going to read what I've written to everybody tonight. It's addressed to the East Aurora Village Board, proposed Walnut Street subdivision. Greetings. For initially delaying an approval for the above referenced development at its last meeting on March 7th. In the past 2 weeks, a wealth of information pretty. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the cooperation of the following persons in furtherance of this project. Peter Sorgi, Esquire. Thank you, Peter. David Britton. Where are you, David? Just ran into him coming to the parking lot. Chris Wood. Where are you, Chris? Thank you. Andrew Romanowski, Reliance Builders. Thank you. Matt Hoey, East Aurora DPW. Liz Cassidy, East Aurora Building Department. And East Aurora Village Administrator Kathy Thomas. If my mother was alive, I'd thank her as well, but she isn't. Having no further concerns to share with you relative to this proposed subdivision, I would hope that construction may be allowed to begin as soon as practicable. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Anyone else in the public?
Just like the car, we have to adjust the seats. All right, and I'm Sally Mitchell. I'm 206 Center Street, Bruce's wife. And I just wanted to also thank everyone for all the work over the past 2 weeks. It appears a lot has been done. I'm very, very grateful. And the first thing I have to say is if the public hearing is closed, as of tonight, and you move on to vote on the 2 resolutions that are on the agenda with relating to the property, the subdivision, that I'm in agreement with and hope that you vote yes on both resolutions. And hopefully the first resolution relating to seeker is, I think, just a standard. Probably we were expecting that. The second resolution does contain some provisions that are, to create an easement and a swale and a drainage easement overall, which we're very much in favor of. Just some things that I suggested in the letter, my letter of earlier today, that I hope that you did receive. There is a small area that is actually right behind our house. It's the little notch on lot number 9. We're hoping that no trees would be removed unnecessarily in the creation of that part of the drainage easement. The other thing that I'm asking for is a dedicated route that when construction does begin, that the village considers that the builders, any construction vehicles that would travel on the same route, maybe Main Street to Walnut Street only, back and forth, so that, I mean, obviously, but just a very limited that's okay with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
But I guess what I'd like to say is I started putting together a report myself just because I have an interest in the site, growing up behind it and having interest in conservation, going to school for it. I like to see that you drainage, the swale will benefit, and was the rainfall, which the lot would experience over a 10-year period. So it's not crazy. That field does infiltrate a lot of water, and those grasses there do play an important role in that. I think that obviously trying to save those grasses that are there and not putting, I wouldn't recommend putting Kentucky bluegrass. It's a common lawn grass. It has very shallow root system. It won't absorb the same water depth as other grasses. I did identify what was primarily there, which was tall fescue. And though that does grow similarly, but it does have a deeper root system and is better for moist areas like that. I guess one last question I would have is, what would be the mowing schedule of that easement? Would it be allowed to grow up a little bit, or is it going to be mowed regularly? Because that is something that will affect runoff as well. Yes, that's all I can say at this moment. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, Max. Steve?
Steve Hartz, 248 Walnut Street. I voted for you again. I do have a copy of the email from Kathy Thomas about the drainage across the field, but I was wondering if anything has been discussed or reviewed or done on Walnut Street, where I did bring up at the last meeting about water and ponds of water during heavy rain.
Hey, Matt, do you or Dave want to address the Linden Walnut side of the water?
The ponding on Walnut in years past. Just south of where that project is going was from a leaky service that was abandoned, and that was repaired. The other issue on Linden Avenue with constant ponding after rain events has been alleviated. We flushed all the pipes in that area, and we did that last July, and there hasn't been any ponding or standing water in that area since then.
Okay. Okay, that's great. I guess we'll have to wait until, some heavy rain or something to see if we do have any other problems with it. As far as the trucks being there from time to time, though, what are they doing with the drains or the sewers? I don't know how many months back, but they were there not too long
That
ago.
was back in July.
Okay.
And then, well, that's when we did all our main flushing. And then again, a few months back, we did some, 2 months ago, we did some flushing on that line.
Okay. Is that regular throughout the village, or is it just?
We flushed storm lines all over the village.
Okay.
But that was an area that needed attention.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So Matt, you and Dave are confident that with the developer's plan to shed the impermeable surface water, the driveway and the house water east to Walnut, that's going to be able to, the system's going to be able to handle that extra water shedding that direction and force it all through the storm sewer?
We'll handle it.
Yeah. Any?
Yeah, the introduction of runoff from the front houses to the Walnut system, which then drains to the 24-inch, which then drains to the south. The drainage patterns are all being altered just slightly with the with the new homes. The runoff or the runoff associated with that impervious area is negligible for the system, as long as there's no existing drainage problems.
Increase in gallons per minute that would fill up the 24-inch pipe to the
So, and that's primarily attributed to how peak flows from different areas can either stack or actually be staggered. The peak flow from the impervious area, the front of the houses that are draining into Walnut, will hit the system quicker than the runoff from behind the homes that has to follow either the swale and around to the 24-inch. So those two peak flows don't stack. So therefore you're not seeing that increase in peak flow into the system.
So to the extent that there's existing galvanized pipe that might be near the end of its lifespan, would there be any recommendation to potentially increase the size if that has to be replaced to a 30-inch or 36-inch instead of 24?
Yeah, I'd have to take a look and work with Matt on something like that. I'm not sure at this point, at least.
Because you've got the combined swale going in there as well as the runoff from Walnut Street. So
Correct. Yeah. So
potentially adding more volume.
is slight, very slight increase, and the 10-year storm peak flow is like 0.1 CFS. You're right. So everything's, and actually, in my opinion, it's better to get the water out of there quicker, because the majority of the flow that are tributary to that 24-inch are upstream at like Hamlin Park area. When by the time that those flows get down there, you really want to get this water out of there quicker. And with the under drain system, it will pick up the shallow subsurface or groundwater flows, which is also a benefit to the residents, especially along Center Street.
Dave, do you want to talk about the under drain system now?
Okay, so the under drain system sits directly underneath the swale. The swale is like a shallow 1 foot deep, 10 foot wide drainage ditch. So the swale sits directly underneath this, or the under drain sits directly underneath the center of the swale. It's wrapped in stone. The benefit of that is twofold. One is when people have a tendency to, push their leaves, or if the leaves fall in, or they put something in the back, or they block the swale, there's still a path for drainage to occur. Less likely to see ponding, still get the movement of water. So I think it's like a protection. It adds that layer of protection.
So you got what, 8 or 9 yard drains on 3 sides of the project, right?
Correct.
Coming down the north, the south, and the west sides, and it all channels it down to the southwest corner. And then there's the under drain system is in gravel, but is it a pipe with holes in it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a perforated pipe,
Yeah.
6-inch perforated pipe. Put yard drains in, again, for one, to allow water to infiltrate into it directly, but also to give you a place to, if you ever had to clean it out or blow it out. So, they're along the north corner, or the north lot line of 4, which is towards the north, adjacent on lot 9 too. So all the stormwater runoff captured and being handled and conveyed to a controlled outlet.
Mhm. And so you're recommending that all this be done prior to any building?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Matt, did you want to talk about the county's findings today on that pipe?
Starting at Walnut and heading west, there was about 264 feet of concrete culvert pipe that's in very good condition. After that, it transitions to a galvanized corrugated pipe down to a manhole in the back property of 210 Center Street, I believe. And then from there, heads south another 120 feet to the outfall, where it then goes underneath Center Street, and that's galvanized as well. The condition of the galvanized pipe throughout is showing signs of age. There are some small holes in the pipe and some rust. It will be in need of replacement in the future, but still carries full capacity at this point.
And with this project, either existing or new ones, and the DPW would be able to do the work themselves?
Correct. It's something where we wouldn't need, the only piece of equipment we'd have to get back there is a small excavator that we have. We don't need to, because it's just dig and replace. We wouldn't have to truck in any stone or anything. Just take the pipe out and put the pipe back in, bury it back up.
Mm-hmm. And that comes all the way to the outfall on Holly's property, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then it opens up to the ditch, and then it goes to 48-inch under Center Street,
Correct.
which can handle whatever it needs to, we think. Okay. So board have any questions for Matt or Dave before we move on to the developer? Pete, you wanna?
Thank you. Peter Sorgi on behalf of the applicant. I'm just going to be brief. I mean, first of all, I do want to thank everybody, and I do want to thank the Mitchells and the other residents who've spoken. I think this process started off where 89 people received legal notices. We had about 45 people at our informational meeting on the 31st of January. And then we've had 3 or 4 speakers at each of the 2 public hearings. So it's really the way the process is supposed to work. I also want to thank Matt and Kathy and Liz and Dave certainly because they put a lot of extra time in. And the way the process is supposed to work is the first plan usually is not the plan that's approved, and that's the case here. In working with the residents, with the village officials, we've added the drainage and the swales and all. I just had one question because one of the things Mrs. Mitchell put in her letter, she was concerned about parking, the construction trucks parking on the street, which makes sense to me. If you look at condition B, it says the construction is managed so that only areas on the vacant parcels are just
I just want to say the police department doesn't encourage kids playing in the street. And we would advise parents against that. It's the days of, setting the hockey goals up in the street. We're much too busy for that now. And it's not safe. But we would work with the trucks to make sure they're going
whatever route you guys decide, or if there is a specific route. Obviously, we don't want them coming in South Street, Sycamore to Linden, and zigzagging all the way through the village, but, we'd stay on top of it.
And Kathy, let's make a point to do an awareness campaign with the neighbors door to door and make sure everybody understands. Pete, did you want to add something?
I mean, so the concern is south of this side, so going towards Linden and South Street is where you're talking about.
That's where we observe most of the kids, right? Hearts, you guys, yeah, right. It is.
And I think, my son plays basketball up there on Walnut as well, but we're not going to be coming. Traffic would be coming from 20. Their office in Hamburg. And then it's going to be coming up, so there's really no reason to go out south. I mean, I think what people have to understand too is that since we're not building a road like in a typical subdivision and things like that, so the truck traffic will be pretty limited. House, 1 or 2 houses, so it's not going to be bigger subdivision that has sewers that are being put in, roads and that type of thing. So, but yeah, certainly, we'll try to commit 20. I agree with what Shane said. I don't think you want to just say this is the one route and they always put out the same route. But the reality is it's going to be coming in for 28 with the grand center cut over.
Okay. Thank you.
I can't imagine that going south. It's just not a very efficient route.
Okay.
I
Thanks, Pete.
have a quick question, Mr. Sargi. So would the houses be built one at a time or 2 or 3 simultaneously, just to understand kind of what the demand's going to be?
It depends on demand and how they want to build it. I mean, Andy can probably address that better than me, but there's been no houses built on spec. That's not the expectation. So it's as they come up. So we want to address that, but it also probably is, if they can do 1 or say 2 at a time, that probably will limit the amount of truck traffic.
Yeah, for efficiency. Yeah, right.
Exactly what Peter said. We'll try the best of our ability to try and do a house or 2 and maybe 3 overlapping at a time. But it really depends on 2 things: demand, and then how quickly we get through the design phases. So I'll kind of go through it at different years. So it's really difficult to predict exactly what that construction sequence is.
Okay.
Think of a scenario where trucks would sit and idle for an extended period of time. We could certainly send them that.
When this all gets approved and when you think it might conclude and start?
We estimated it would take about 2 years to get to the houses based upon demand. But I think we think it would fully build out into a 2-year period. We're looking to probably start late this spring, we hope, correct? Yes.
Anyone else?
I just want to say, I think this process, the way that this has all gone has been, I mean, incredibly, everybody's been insightful, everybody's been polite. It's been great. So I really appreciate all of the neighbors for bringing your concerns to us. That caused a lot of extra work to get done, which is fantastic. We all learned a lot. I think all of our vocabularies have expanded. I never knew the word riverine. So, no, I think that's phenomenal, and I really appreciate the applicants and Mr. Sorgi for especially starting with that first informational meeting. I think we talk all the time about how it's always best to talk to the neighbors rather than have the neighbors find out that something is happening and then kind of panic. And that really set the tone for a very positive relationship. So I appreciate the work you've all done. And getting all the documents together, there's some 300 pages of light reading this weekend.
Right.
So it's been
Very
really great. I appreciate it.
That's been the biggest environmental detriment was the snow boat.
It was red, so thank you.
All right, anybody else? All right, can I get a motion to close this public at 7:49 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Paul, second,
Second.
second by Marcia. Further discussion? All
Aye.
opposed? The public hearing is closed. A, and ask, can I get a motion for a determination under seeker for an unlisted action for the proposed preliminary plat application for 0 Walnut / 363 Prospect Ave?
I'll make a motion for a neg deck.
Motion for a neg deck by Kristen, second,
Second.
second by Tony. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. And 5B, can I get a motion for the approval of the preliminary plat application for 0 Walnut Street / 363 Prospect Ave?
So moved.
Moved by Marcia, second,
Second.
second by Kristen. Further discussion? I would actually like to ask if Marcia would add a condition to this, that when the developer brings their final plat application, that they actually include a proposal of any tree removal that they're considering for this project. Just so they let us know and we know and we can weigh in versus just showing up one day and going, oh, I didn't want them to cut that tree
Right,
down.
okay.
It was
So
really
I
silly.
move that we amend the motion to include a condition upon receipt of the final plat that it includes details about tree removal. Is that accurate?
If you want to, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
If you
I am
agree.
good. I am good with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Still happy second.
Kristen's still seconding it. Anybody else? Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations. Go back to public hearing 4B. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing at 7:51 PM to discuss the 2022-2023 tentative budget?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second by Marcia.
Oh, that was Paul.
Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. All right. The public hearing for the 2022-2023 budget is open. Kathy, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll just give a really quick intro. So what we're looking at tonight is a tentative budget, is a cumulative or effort of a lot of people, Maureen especially, and our department heads and the board. We had, of course, our budget workshop session. We could go Saturday for quite a few hours and that morning going over the department head requests. Maureen fills in a whole lot of other information in our budget that we have to have, that is not really debatable for all we're going to owe on debt. She and I came up to put in numbers for insurance and doing revenue projections. So all of that is done in part of the budget. This year we have what I feel is a very positive result. There is but it's quite modest, under 2%, about we at 1.95, just under 2%. Of course, with inflation being a little bit more right now, we're very happy with that. And still, we feel that this budget is going to meet all of the needs that the village has for the coming fiscal year. So as I said, it's a lot of work on a lot of people's parts, the lion's share of Maureen's. But everybody pulled together and we're happy to present this, and the board still will have, this is just your hearing tonight. Anyone can comment on what the proposal is now. And then you will vote on this either that the board's just pleasure, either at your next meeting or the second meeting in April. But you will have to do it by that time because we have to have it done by the end of April.
Thank you. Anyone from the public like to comment on the upcoming budget? All right. Bringing it back to the board. Anything you want to add before we close public hearings?
I think that's pretty amazing. Huh?
Yeah.
Under 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I going into the budget meetings, I expected far greater increase than that. So that was, thank you to everybody and Maureen and, you know, the department heads,
Mhm.
you know, for their fiscal responsibility and, you know, the good job you do with your budgets.
Yeah, just so the public knows, when we meet why are you asking for this in 2022, and they justify it. And if there's ways to limit or, you know, get smarter with how we spend it, maybe spread it out over a few years. If it's a rollout of something, the department heads have been great, you know, Shane and Matt and Maureen and Roger. They've been great working with us, and, you know, if it's something they're like, no, we absolutely have to have this, you know, then we figure out a way to make it happen. If it's something that, like I said, meets the needs of the village. So yeah, big kudos go to Maureen and the rest of the department heads for working with us, and for the trustees for you know, researching everything and being willing to go toe to toe with them and question everything and really try to do right by the community. I'm really pleased with the 1.95, a sub 2. I'm pretty proud of that, aren't you?
Yeah.
You should be. You should be.
Especially considering all the unknowns about fuel prices right now. You know, it's going to be a little bit of guesswork, but we know that number is substantially above 2%.
Right, yeah, I think we've added fuel prices in some cases to make sure that we're gonna have room in the budget, because that's one of those things that's gonna get used, you know,
Either
whether
way.
or not we plan for it. So
Right.
I think we did a really nice job planning for it, especially with what's going on this year.
I didn't think any of the requests were unusual or out of line at all, and I thought people were really give and take. And I think that Maureen, especially, you come up with creative ways of financing things, and you're always on the lookout for grants, which we're really appreciative of. So thanks for your hard work.
Thank you. I also want to say I love this budget because it's a little less reliant on fund balance, if you've noticed, as well as there is a little section for reserves to help start planning to buy items with cash opposed to financing them, which costs us a heck of a lot more money, in my opinion, and planning for the needs of the department, knowing what they need ahead of time so that we can make good decisions in purchasing. I just think it's great that you guys agree to do all of that, because not a lot of boards would be as great about that. And I think it's wonderful.
And it looks like we got a pipe to replace.
Right.
All right, anybody else? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:57 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Paul, second.
Second.
The discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. The hearing is closed. Moving on to 5C. Can I get a motion to approve the temporary use permit for the Rotary Club of East Aurora for the Bunny Hop 5K?
So moved.
Moved by Paul, second.
Second.
Second by Tony. Further discussion?
Shane, any concerns about this one?
No, not really. We've done them for years. We've been not doing them for the last couple, but we're gonna just, it's probably gonna take another crossing guard because of the development on Mill Road's just about filled up now. We'll have a little more traffic to deal with through that, but we should be fine.
Same route though, from the Legion up Center, Beach, Mill, back Mill, Beach, Center, Legion, right?
Yep.
Yep. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve the temporary use permit retroactively for the Easter Aurora St. Patrick's Day Bar Crawl.
So moved.
Moved by Marcia, second.
Second.
Second by Tony. Further discussion.
Is there-
Shane? Oh, sorry.
Is there anybody here representing Young and Focused?
No. Shane, you want to give us your thoughts on how it went now that it's over?
We really didn't have any issues with it. There were a couple first aids at two drinking establishments on the west side of the village later that day. But nothing in the event itself that I'm aware of.
Was the one at the place down on Elm related to this event? I saw the person.
I don't know.
Oh, I saw the
I
person
could
kind of
have-
get. When,
Yeah.
when she
Yeah, we
woke
had-
up, they kind of got her up and out of the,
Yeah,
the
it was-
basement and she was covered in St. Patty's Day garb, but I didn't know if she was part of this particular event.
Yeah, it's tough. It was a busy weekend for being Irish, so it could have been in South Buffalo. It could have been, I don't know.
Some people are better at it than others.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Maureen, could you weigh in?
Oh, I have comments.
Please do.
I think that maybe letters to the businesses in town saying, hey, if somebody asks you to join an event, have them show you the permit first, because this will happen. It's really hard to close it down at that point. So once you hear about them, we hear about them after they're already advertised, they've sold tickets. And when you have hundreds of people who are going to be showing up and you just heard about it. So I'm wondering if we should do something. I don't know how else to control that.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea when you don't know who the applicant or non-applicant is, the organizer even is, right? Let's charge people to go to bars that they can go to for free anyway in East Aurora. And if people want those, we don't really know about it until we see it on Facebook. It's hard to get ahead of it, but we could have canceled it. We could have gone around and been that guy and canceled it. So I think
Yeah, we have a little bit of an issue with that. I don't really like it. It doesn't set right with me.
No, and I think the other issue with this sort of thing is that it doesn't allow residents a chance to weigh in.
Right.
And I don't like to take that away from the neighbors.
Yeah, well, I don't like that they're crowding up my bar. Like,
I can't help you with
a little
that.
crowded. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and but
I didn't
but-
go out this weekend.
But to what you're referring to, Ernie, like there is a couple races that are run by an organization who they do this for profit. And I guess I saw a Buffalo News article on it where they say, oh, we're, for breast cancer. And then they were donating like 1.5% to breast cancer and all the rest was profit for the two people who organized it, So it's like, I agree. They should say how much they're donating in advance. So people aren't like, hey, I'm doing this for a good cause. And you're like, yeah, no, you're not. It's
So you could make an amendment to your code and for these kinds of permits to require that when they publicize it and when they apply to the village, that they specify if they are claiming to whatever portion of the proceeds to a charitable organization, specify what percentage of the proceeds are going to go.
Code and also putting some sort of financial penalty.
Approved. I get a motion to approve the two new members for the East Aurora Fire Department, James M. Smith and Ben R. Smith.
So moved.
Moved by Marcia, second. Second by Kristen. Hmm.
So moved.
Moved by Marcia, second. Second by Paul. Further discussion? Matt? Anything?
We have 3 open positions right now for laborers and hopefully this will.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. No new business. Second, speakers and communication. Like to talk about, raise your hand. When acknowledged, please come up. Anybody in the back there? Got anything? No? Okay. All right. And moving on to the department head report, Shane.
Nothing tonight.
Ooh, nice. Wow. All right. Matthew?
Previously mentioned, we did some work over on Walnut in the drainage area, doing some video surveillance and now we're hiring another laborer. Other than that, it's pretty about it.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Liz? You good? And Maureen?
he asks you, the sound on this recording this evening is not going to be working half of the time. Whatever this box is malfunctioning, and we will be buying a new one.
Good, good. That won't screw up your budget?
It will not screw up my budget. I know where the money is.
All right, Kathy?
So Maureen didn't, we have been like, what do we like the expression, busier than one arm paper hanger. Last week, Maureen did a really great job with all of her crew and our election inspectors, running our election that was a week ago, just last Tuesday. Seems like it was longer than that, doesn't it? And there was a lot of work putting all that together and getting it all done properly. And then, of course, our budget and all the work we've been doing on subdivision. And of course, we've been doing police negotiations. So we have a lot of irons in the fire as always, and working it all out. And when we get all this done, as we said earlier, it is a team effort. We have a really wonderful team of department heads and employees assembled, and that is how we get, and of volunteers, as you mentioned earlier, Mayor. That's how we get it all done. Thank you.
All right. Last one, Tony. We
Nothing
got
today.
nothing?
Nothing.
You got nothing.
I was expecting something.
There goes the gadfly.
Oh, so
Save us for the
disappointed.
bar tonight, right?
I'm so disappointed. Oh,
I'm not. He's nice. He's letting us off the hook. See, he has a heart.
It was a long meeting. We had a big public hearing.
That's right. Ernie?
nothing.
All right. Kristen?
All set, thanks.
Marcia?
Nothing.
Paul?
I just had a really great time serving you all. So thank you.
Ditto.
And I'm all set.
All right. Like Kathy said, we're working on the PBA negotiations and hopefully making some progress there. We'll let you know how that shakes out when we have some info to share. Thanks again for everybody's commitment to keeping this budget tight and lean and as frugal and thrifty as possible for the village residents. Regarding the election, thank you to God bless you. Thank you to everybody who came out.